My everyday care out of hospital is superb. A lot of communication between the doctors. That seemed to stop at the hospital door. At home, I was in control of my medication. But basically, it was me who was checking up that I was meeting the deadlines to have my medication and meeting the critical times. Whereas in the hospital, I was quite surprised when I was actually told, give us your drugs. The pharmacist will be here in the morning and he will be able to prescribe drugs. But I said, well, I can take them. I showed them I had pieces of paper that showed that I knew what I was taking and gave times. And they were terribly, terribly unhappy.
The hardest thing about being in hospital with Mum was that it's really vital for her, like most people with Parkinson's, that she has her medication at the right time. And when we left her on the first night, I said, Mum's medication, first lot of medication is at 7:30 in the morning. And the nurse said, oh, but drugs round is at 9. Mum waiting an hour and a half could have a really bad effect on her for the rest of the day or longer.
The hospital pharmacist came to see me and he said, there's no reason you can't self-medicate, go ahead. But still, there was opposition from the staff. It certainly seemed to me to be a very substantial lack of communication between the different people on the ward.
So one of the problems was that it felt like every morning when I went in, there would often be a different nurse, so I'd have to explain again. But that was kind of what happened at every drugs round or every point in the day when Mum was meant to take her medication or when she needed food. So the result was that for most of the time she was in hospital, which was nearly 2 weeks, my dad or I would be there at every drugs round and every meal. She went in really healthy. By the end of the 2 weeks, she had lost loads of weight, she was significantly worse, and we'd had some really terrible experiences.
And that's partly because every meal time, every drug time was a bit of an ordeal.
There was one morning when I went in and Mum didn't know who I was and was really, really upset. And so I went to find the nurse straight away, and the nurse said, oh yeah, but your mum's got Parkinson's. How old is she? And I said, I think Mum was 72. 72, well, that'll be her Parkinson's. It wasn't her Parkinson's. Most of the staff that we met were incredible, but that particular staff member showed such an ignorance of Parkinson's and also of the fact that I know my mum far better than she does.
Being told you can't make your own decisions is demeaning. It makes you feel that you're valued less. It makes you feel that you're reduced to be a child, really. That has a whole lot of effects. It affects your relationship with the professionals. It affects your relationship with your family. It undermines your confidence tremendously.
I think people with Parkinson's deserve the dignity and the agency to do what they can for themselves. If they're not able to make choices for themselves, then their family or their loved ones or their friends are the next best thing, because you have to ask the people who know what somebody's general state is in order to know what's wrong on the day or to know how they should be if they take the medication at the right time.
The only practical solution to put the policy into effect fairly immediately is education.